This is DawgNation's coverage of the NFL Draft, presented by Kroger. Now, here's our insiders, Mike Griffith and Connor Riley.
Hello, everyone, and welcome into another edition of Dogs in the Draft. My name is Connor Riley. I'm joined today by Mike Griffith, and today we're going to talk about one of the real success stories in this past year. We're talking about Tykee Smith, who did not have the easiest road in his time in college, but by the end of it, was a real impact player for the Georgia Bulldogs. So, Mike, what does Tykee Smith bring to an NFL team?
More than you'd think, right? And this is the star player. This is the nickel. And, Georgia very aggressive with how they use Tykee Smith. And you look at the numbers and you understand why. This is a guy that led Georgia football in tackles for loss, Connor. Don't often see the nickelback leading a team in tackles for loss as well as interceptions. He just got better and better and better. He came to Georgia as a West Virginia transfer, had an injury, slowed him the first year, injured again the second year. But boy, this past season, I thought Tykee Smith made a really good case for himself as perhaps the defensive MVP when you look at the statistics and you look at some of the plays that he made. This is a sleeper pick. This is a guy that I think is quietly climbing up the boards. He ran a 4.40. I think he showed a little bit more football awareness than a lot of people thought. Got some NFL teams looking at each other. Don't be surprised if Tykee Smith doesn't work himself up into the fourth round.
Yeah, I don't think there's been a bigger winner, quote unquote, of the NFL draft process from Georgia than Tykee Smith. This is a guy who went and balled out at the Senior Bowl, really impressed teams there. And then maybe pound for pound had the most impressive combine of the players that Georgia sent to Indianapolis. So when you factor that in with the growth that he showed this past season, I think this is a guy who went from at the beginning of the year, maybe a fringe draft pick, undrafted free agent potentially. This is a guy, as Mike touches on, could go in the back half of the third round potentially, but more likely an early day 3-pick, fourth rounder. There are some teams that are going to be interested in seeing if he's able to play safety at the next level. Georgia didn't really ask him to do that, but that doesn't mean that he can't. And this is a guy that, despite that ACL injury he suffered in his first year at Georgia, has still played a lot of football, was a freshman All-American at his time at West Virginia, and ultimately goes on to become an All-SEC defensive back in his final season at Georgia. So a guy that has done a lot, a guy that has been through a lot, and a guy that knows what it is like to win at a high level and what it takes to be a professional there. So, nickelback is always an interesting position to draft for. It usually goes a little bit underdrafted, but as Mike points out, I think Tykee Smith has really worked himself up draft boards and is going to make an NFL team very, very happy in the 2024 NFL Draft. So for Mike Griffith, my name is Connor Riley. Today we're discussing Tykee Smith on another episode of Dogs in the Draft.